White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday accusing OPEC of cozying up to Russia after OPEC Plus announced that they would cut oil production by 2 million barrels a day. That's expected to send oil prices higher. Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. He's a member of the Foreign Relations, Appropriations, and Banking Committees, recently back from Japan. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
Great to see you too, Maria.
What do you make of the OPEC Plus decision? What are your expectations of the impact?
Well, I'm not surprised at the decision, but what I am surprised at is the reaction of this White House. They say that they're disappointed, that this is short-sighted. They should look in the mirror, Maria. The disappointed and short-sighted energy policies originated right here in Washington. And their response to this, I'm afraid, is going to be to sell down more of the SPR, what is supposed to be the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. What they're calling it now, I think, is the Strategic Political Reserve, because their eyes are on the November elections. They're trying to get gas prices down, and that's what this is all about. They're out pleading with Iran, with Venezuela. They'd rather deal with international killers than work with American drillers right here at home. The answer is so obvious. It's right here. Joe Biden needs to take his foot off the oil and gas industry's throat.
Well, it's a really good point with the news of the day, these expectations that sanctions come down in Venezuela, and this Strategic Petroleum Reserve has hit the lowest level in 38 years, the lowest levels since 1984. I mean, do you believe that this president is relying more on foreign oil? I mean, he's attacks the Saudis and others for not doing the process the way he wants it, and yet he's more and more dependent on these international players for oil.
It is incredible. And when you look at what he's done with the strategic political reserve, we'll call it in Biden land, what he's done is he's actually sold more oil than we could process here. Who's taken it? China's taken it. Guess what? Saudi Arabia has taken oil from our Strategic Petroleum Reserve under the Biden administration. They're taking that oil at yesterday's prices. And now they're hiking the price of oil, and they're going to turn around and sell it right back to us. I think the Biden administration has yet again been played.
That is incredible. All of this as so many issues that are affecting American families are worsening. We've got the FBI's latest crime report. It shows a slight decline in violent crimes last year, but it turns out there are a few gaps in the data. New York and Los Angeles are refusing to turn over their crime stats as both cities have seen murder rates soar, Senator. I mean, what do you attribute this spike in crime across the country to?
I think you go back to what the Biden administration ran on when they were running for office back in 2020. Defund the police has manifested itself in this behavior. The other thing to look at is what happened at our southern border. The day that Joe Biden came in, he dropped all enforcement at the border. What these criminal elements are able to see is anybody can walk into the United States of America. Nobody cares. There are no consequences for that crime. Why should there be any consequence for crimes in our city? It's happening all across America, particularly in our cities. It's even happening here in Tennessee. That's prompted Marsha Blackburn and I, my senior senator from Tennessee, to put forward legislation to deal with this right now. We need to turn around and get our law and order reinstated here in our cities in America. We need to properly fund the police and prosecutors. We need to stop, this whole notion of no consequence bail, no cash bail, and get back to the notion that America is going to fulfill its basic promise to the public. That's to keep us safe. That's what our act will do, and we need to get back focused on this. We also sent a letter to Joe Biden, encouraging him to do the same thing. Fund police right now, not IRS agents to come snoop on Americans. Let's bring law and order back to our cities and to our streets.
Yeah, but the law was passed that he wants $80 billion for the IRS to hire 87,000 new IRS agents. You've got a total, when that happens, of 166,000 IRS agents versus 15,000 border agents. So that's where the priorities are. Will you be able to stop that?
It's certainly our plan. I think that we're going to see a change in November, Maria, both in the House and in the Senate. I'm optimistic that that will take place. We've got to turn this ship around. We've got to reprioritize America. Again, deliver on our basic promises. If you look at what's happening in law and order, the act that Marsha Blackburn and I put forward will do things like compress the time it takes to process rape kits. There was a terrible rape and murder that happened in Memphis that the perpetrator had actually been picked up on a rape a year before. The rape kit had not been processed. Had it been processed in time, that murderer would have been off the streets. We've got to come back and properly fund and properly resource law and order here in America.
Yeah, I want to bring in the panel in a minute, but you mentioned the upcoming midterms. You've got a new Reuters and Ipsos poll. It finds voters prefer Republicans over Democrats to solve crime ahead of the midterms, Senator. You're talking about your bill with Marsha Blackburn. Where is that going? I mean, do you expect it to get down for a vote?
Well, I certainly hope to be in a position to put it to a vote if we win control of the United States Senate. And we're poised to do it. Again, we're not waiting. We sent a letter to President Biden outlining what he should do. But again, we had every Democrat in the United States Senate vote against deporting those illegal aliens that are here and have committed felonies. So the priorities of the Democrat Party are so detached from the American public, it's crazy.
Wow.
And as the American public realizes this situation, they're going to continue more and more to side with the Republicans on this. That's why I think we're going to see a landslide in November.
James.
Senator, I wanted to ask you about how this schizophrenic Biden energy policy plays among your Democratic colleagues. The OPEC Plus cartel is going to pump less oil. Based on the Biden climate agenda, they should be celebrating at the White House. Instead, this is bad because, of course, they want a short-term political fix. But I'm wondering, among Democratic senators, do they do they get confused about which message to go with? Are they saying, yay, less oil production, good for the climate? Or are they criticizing OPEC Plus for not pumping oil as the president would like?
Well, they've got nowhere to go except to contradict themselves. Again, what they want to see, I think, is gas at $15 a gallon in America. Whatever it takes to force us into some sort of
not before
green
November.
new energy fantasy.
Yeah.
But not before November. You're exactly right. They want to get reelected. They want to stay in power. But then they want to turn around and force America into this green new energy fantasy that they're proposing. It doesn't work. We don't have the infrastructure. I've been here in Tennessee all week talking with people about how we're going to put the infrastructure in place even to do this. It's not possible. This is a pipe dream. It's a political pipe dream, and they're destroying the American economy in the process.
Senator, we're waiting on jobless claims this morning. What kind of an economic story are you expecting next year?
You know, it's not looking great, Maria. And again, if you look at the policies of this administration and the misplaced priorities, they just don't seem to be in touch with the economy whatsoever. And if you think about the inflation that we're trying to deal with now, I argued back, more than a year ago that this was not transitory.
Right.
We got on this too late. I think that Jay Powell is going to be looking hard, particularly at the report tomorrow, the jobs report tomorrow. And if it's a big miss, that may cause him to step back a bit, maybe rather than 75 basis points, maybe 50 basis points in terms of the tightening. But he sent a very clear message to the marketplace that he's focused on inflation, but that inflation has been precipitated by the policies of the Biden administration. I'll go back to where we started.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden would just take his foot off the throat of the American energy industry, we would have much less inflation right now.
Senator, thanks so much.